Hey there, it's Tom Ryan, founder and executive chairman of ICR. Before we get into the next episode, I wanted to ask that you subscribe to the show. It'll help us get even more unique and interesting guests on the podcast, and in turn, continue to educate management teams and the growing ecosystem that creates value for fast-growing private and public companies. And while you're at it, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star rating. Very much appreciated.
What I set out to do, and it's still the DNA and the core of the brand, is I want the woman who puts this on her body to feel really great about herself.
So many women's apparel companies are all about fast fashion, trendy products that are made to sell but not to last. Well, today we're talking about a company that's focused on making quality women's apparel that feel good to wear and live in your closet for the long term.
Sexy, sophisticated, and timeless. That's my core DNA.
My name is Tom Ryan, and this is Welcome to the Arena, the ICR podcast. Each week, I sit down with today's business leaders to give you an inside scoop on some of America's most prosperous public companies, their origins, their challenges, and the keys to their success. Today's guest is Ramy Brook Sharp, the founder, co-CEO, and creative director of the women's apparel brand Ramy Brook. In 2010, Ramy set out to create the perfect timeless top to complement her jeans and jewelry, something stylish, versatile, and fabulous. Unable to find what she wanted, she designed it herself, and within 6 months, her pieces were picked up by Bergdorf Goodman. Not too shabby. Known for luxurious silks, bold colors, and elegant silhouettes, Ramy's designs are inspired by strong, stylish women, and the brand expertly blends sophistication with a playful edge. Today, Ramy Brook is a direct-to-consumer powerhouse, but is also available in 250 boutiques and major retailers like Saks, Neiman Marcus, Nordstrom, and Bloomingdale's, and the company also has a flagship store on Madison Avenue in New York City. Her vision is for women who wear Ramy Brook to feel beautiful and confident knowing they are sexy, wearing something special, and looking their absolute best. Let's enter the arena with Ramy Brook Sharp. So I obviously described the brand a little bit, but for listeners that may not know Ramy Brook that well, maybe tell us about yourself and tell us about Ramy Brook.
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in New Jersey.
That's a good start. Jersey girl.
I feel like that's special, a little scrappiness.
Yeah.
But basically, I grew up amongst two sisters. So fashion and shopping was kind of integral in our family.
Yep.
My mother, I said for sport, she took us to the Short Hills Mall on the weekends. So I grew up in a household where we really had this love of getting dressed and shopping, and it really brought a lot of joy. So I didn't set out to do anything in fashion. I didn't really know that was an option. I, went to a liberal arts college, and both my roommates went on to law school. I was planning on doing that, and then I said, I'm going to move to New York City. So I started my career off in advertising.
Yep.
And fast forward, I met my husband, I got married, and then basically I couldn't figure out how to work full-time or even part-time and raise kids. So I was raising 3 kids on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and when my youngest, who was 5, went off to school, I had a lot of free time on my hands, which for me never really worked that well. I always need to be doing something. And in that time, I was shopping and looking at all these beautiful tops to wear with my jeans. And I really love this one black silk top. It was made by Lanvin, and it was over $1,000.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, why is this $1,000?
That's obnoxious.
Right. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. But in my head, I was like, I want to learn how to do this. I want to make it for less. And I want it in 3 colors. So that was where it clicked in my head that I was missing these beautiful tops just to go with all my jeans. But I also thought, that's crazy. It doesn't look like I should spend $1,000 on it. It's not really incredibly special. It's just a brand that I loved, and they could get away with that.
Yeah.
But I wanted something more for me. So I felt like naively, I'm like, I'll just make my own.
So when you kind of said that to yourself, I'm sure you went out to all your friends and you're like, sanity check, right? Am I wrong on this? Tell me where I'm wrong. There's a void in the market. And I know out of talking to all your friends, a few different styles were born, which I think is such a cool story. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah. I came home and I told my husband, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to learn how to make these tops and I'm going to start my own brand. And he's like, great, go for it.
Yeah.
And my friends thought it was great too. They're like, yeah, that's amazing. And so in the beginning, and I still try to do this, but I named all the tops after my friends and my family.
Yeah. So cool.
And, over 10 years, I guess I ran out of friends.
Well, you've had so much success.
Yeah.
You don't, now you're in like the second circle of friends.
Right.
It's
now
like,
I'm into my AI friends. So whatever they came up with for names.
Exactly. But you were doing all this like in your apartment, right? And for a while. How many years into it did you like bust out of the apartment and were like, hey, we need like some kind of normal space, right? Because you can't do everything.
No. And also like with 3 young kids and all the crap that comes with.
Oh, yeah. Right.
In your in an apartment.
Yeah.
I actually first took another apartment in my building and it happened to be on our floor, which was great.
Yeah.
And I could still be somewhat of a stay-at-home mom and also work. So that was ideal, but that really only lasted for like 3 years. And then as I started to really build a company and start to sell wholesale and just really become a legit biz, I moved to the garment center on 39th Street.
Yeah.
And that was in 2013, 2014.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you had like kind of, at least on the surface, it appears like immediate success getting into Bergdorf, but there must have been like huge challenges getting it off the ground despite that. Like in those early days in the apartment, or even when you had the second apartment, what do you recall as the biggest challenges of like getting this from kind of, hey, this is a hobby / business to like a business?
Right. It's so interesting. So I was 42 when I started this business.
Yeah.
So I had this weird confidence that everybody needed these tops.
Yeah.
Like, of course, everybody would carry these. And I remember going to Saks and we met with Ron Fresh at the time. Someone I knew him. So, we went right to the top and I thought I had like, this guy's going to love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why wouldn't he? He sells all these high-end designers. I just gave him something for a lot less. Yeah. And I remember him saying to me, this price point's a little high. And I was like, what are you talking about? You carry like Prada, Gucci. Like, I'm like, you can buy 3 of these for that.
Yeah.
But, I kind of learned there's a space, it's the contemporary space.
Yep.
And the customer is looking for a certain price point. They're not necessarily thinking, oh, it looks like high-end designer, so I'm going to buy it.
Right.
They are shopping in a world where there's a certain parameter of what people will pay. So that was like kind of like the first like, oh, wow, I have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And Bergdorf was like amazing and it was great. I got in there first. But going into a major distributor comes with a lot of operational issues.
Yeah. And they want to know you can deliver.
They want to know we could deliver. It's called EDI compliant, which I had no idea what they were talking about. I was using QuickBooks and handwriting receipts.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, thank God you didn't know, right? You never would have done it. Ignorance is bliss, kind of, right?
Ignorance is bliss, and especially in this situation. And I was older when I started. I really thought I knew what I was talking about and I knew what I was doing. And I really thought I had the answer for everybody. And like, as you move through life and you understand, like you don't wake up and be like, I'm an overnight success. You learn a lot. And so, I learned through my trials and tribulations.
Yeah. Well, so, we covered kind of the biggest challenges in the beginning. Also, when you look back, was there a moment that you thought like, wow, this is working, like this is going to work?
So, I went through my stages. What I did find was everybody loves something new, especially the boutiques, because they're competing against all the majors.
Yeah.
So if they have something in their store that nobody else has, it's a win for them. So I guess in the beginning, it was easier to sell to boutiques. And that's how I really started. But once I started to sell to the majors, which it was important for my business, just marketing and also volume, you realize that you have to come up with some different product and more product, for the stores to sell to make it special.
Yeah, you have to innovate, right?
You have to innovate. You have to understand what everybody's thinking. The majors, it's a completely different animal than, boutiques. And then I have my website too.
The website is amazing, and everyone should go there if they haven't. Ramy, when you describe the brand to people, or if you're going in and selling a boutique or a major, talking to them, how do you differentiate the brand in a crowded fashion industry? Like, how do you go in and say, like, we're different,
I mean, that's a great question. So I use 3 words that represent the DNA of the brand and always has. And it's sexy, sophisticated, and timeless.
Yep.
And what I set out to do, and it's still the DNA and the core of the brand, is I want the woman who puts this on her body to feel really great about herself. I want her to feel like sexy, and I want her to feel confident. At the same time, those words, sexy could mean something, cheesy. And I didn't want that.
Yeah.
So sophisticated was also for that woman who could wear it from like day to night, desk to dinner, beach to bar. So it's a level of sophistication, and that could be within the fabrics that I use and the design. And timeless, every girl understands this. When you clean out your closet, you're like, ugh, why did I buy that? Like, It was like so trendy, like it's almost disposable.
Yeah.
But I wanted my pieces to live in your closet, so it's worth the investment. And so sexy, sophisticated, and timeless, that's my core DNA. And I think what sets us apart from who we sit among, especially in the contemporary world, because, there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
There's a level of really like classiness to my brand. And it's something that runs the gamut with ages, where my mom could wear it, I could wear it, and my daughter could wear it. So, like she's right out of college, so she could find something for a job interview. And I'm obviously not out of college.
Yeah.
And my mom's like in her 80s, so she, only likes things with sleeves, and it's a little bit different, but we do have a brand that represents a lot of women.
Just drilling a little bit deeper on kind of that multi-generational thing. I know my wife owns Ramy Brook. I have 3 daughters. They all swap with each other. My wife's 53, they're 20 and 23. And I think it's pretty unique. And I know you've had, like mother and daughter photo shoots and things like that. Maybe talk a little bit more about that, and I don't want to call it promotion or marketing. Maybe that is what it is. But, to kind of, you're building a community as well among these women, I feel, at least when I look at the brand.
So I would say my core woman is like that 35 to 55.
Yeah.
And that's how, when I started, who I was reaching. And it evolved into a little younger and also a little older over time as I got older.
Yeah.
But still, that core girl is at 35 to 55. And it is shareable items. A lot of it is loose fitting. Most of it is like extra small through extra large. So you don't have to worry about the exact numerical size. Now we've added a full collection. So what started as just an item business of tops and like one dress has now turned into a full collection. So we have outerwear, we have denim, we have tops, we have dresses, we have swim, we have cover-ups. We just added jewelry. So this brand has evolved into a head-to-toe look.
Yeah. When you decide to go into a new category, you're not in your apartment anymore. You're running like a professionally run business. How do you research that? How do you decide what to get into? How do you organize the resources of the company behind getting something fabulous out there?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question, because what I've done so far, I'll give you denim as an example.
Yeah.
Denim takes a very specific designer You have to know about the washes. You have to understand about the stretch.
Yeah.
The design part of it is generally different than what a ready-to-wear designer does. So we hired a freelancer. And the freelancer we had, she's amazing. She freelanced for Veronica Beard, Nilly Loughton. She worked at Rag & Bone. She was a real expert in that field. And she was able to get us where we are today. And just as recently as 6 months ago, we hired a full-time denim designer. So we basically find that expert in that field. And most of them are freelance and they're really smart. They know what they're doing. They have the connections with the factories. And so we start that way, baby steps until, it makes sense to bring on somebody full-time.
Having quality products is important, but to be successful, you need to align those products with an effective marketing strategy. And with the rise of social media, Ramy's had to adapt that strategy to a marketplace that looks much different from when she first started.
Everybody knows, social media has changed everything for marketing.
Yep.
When I started in 2010, those were just in the infancy stage. I mean, Facebook was bigger. Instagram, it was just all starting. I didn't understand the influence and the impact. So I was full old school. And I don't even know if influencer was a word then.
I don't think so.
You just hoped a celebrity wore it. And we had celebrities. We had Cindy Crawford. We got it on celebrities. And now, for marketing purposes, there's a whole world out there who could market this for us. And also we could handle more on our own end with our own social media team.
Yeah.
So honestly, marketing is the part where we're still evolving, learning, understanding. It's a crowded space out there.
Yeah.
We work with Meta, which they kind of determine on your algorithms.
And the second you kind of feel you haven't figured out, it changes. Now it's AI agents and all this stuff.
Right.
It's so far above my head. I have no idea, but it's just another evolution and kind of doing it and you'll figure it out. But you got to be on top of it.
It's another evolution. But, I still really believe in that experience and touching and feeling the product.
Big time.
I know it's maybe old school, but I still think it's important to create that and still have these marketing tools so people could feel and understand the brand in person.
Yeah. And then how about distribution? I read your introduction, Ramy, and I didn't really talk about the business as an omnichannel business, but it is. Maybe talk about, in addition to the boutiques and the majors, talk about the website and e-commerce and how it all kind of fits together.
Yeah. So I would say almost 50% of our business is e-com.
Yep.
We work really hard on making sure we have a great website. It's consumer friendly. It's a great way for people to understand the brand and for us to tell my story because I could pick certain product. I could show things the way I want to do it. I'm not at the mercy of others.
Yeah.
Not to mention, obviously, our margins are higher when we do direct to consumer. So we have this fabulous digital team that's broken up into our marketing services, our creative and our more of the analytics. So it's a big team here. We understand the importance of it. Again, constantly evolving. I mean, AI to me and Claude and Chad and Nana Banana, everything to me just happened kind of overnight.
Yeah.
And now there's a gazillion things I need to learn. But it does help us become more efficient. And we're able to do things that we certainly couldn't do 10 years ago.
Yeah. And then you started off in the apartment and you've grown into a big business. How involved are you in the creative process? You talked about all the different categories you're in now versus just the tops that you originally designed and were so successful at. How do you float around in addition to everything else that you do every day and be immersed in that creative process?
So I sit with the design team. That's where my office is. A lot of my time is spent with design. And I think that's what makes Ramy Brook different than a lot of the brands out there. It's, a real woman, like wearing it, living it.
Yeah, like you're a person.
I'm a person. I'm a person with other people.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've got friends, I've got family, I've got kids. I'm out and about, so I see what people are wearing. I'm completely inspired by that world.
Yep.
This summer, like, what am I missing in my wardrobe that I definitely am not going to miss next summer? So I spend a lot of my time with design, and then I spend a lot of my time with marketing.
You don't need to be putting together the financials.
Right. That's the one department I really try to stay away from.
Exactly.
That word budget is like not my friend, but it's obviously something important to run a real business. And we have an amazing CFO, and I work, with Rob as well, my husband, who, as you know, is finance extraordinaire with
Great
his
at that stuff.
private equity background. So I am surrounded by really smart finance people, so I could continue to create and innovate and, evolving this brand.
Sounds so fun. I know it's not fun every day, but it sounds super fun.
I know.
What have you learned about leadership? I'm in the same boat. I started my company with a couple of friends, and then it became a big thing with a lot of people working there. What have you learned about leading people through COVID and tariffs and blah, 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 and getting people to really hang in there with you? What have you learned about kind of leading teams?
So first, I want the culture of the company to be a place where people want to come to work.
Yeah.
And to me, I can't believe people have companies where it's so dysfunctional and, just not a place where people want to go to. So we create that culture. Having said that, I think the leadership role, to me, is one of the most difficult parts of the business.
For sure.
Leadership, it starts at the top. So the way we run this company is going to trickle down. And I think there's a lot of different personalities, and everybody has their own lives and their own problems and their own issues. So understanding that and leading in a way that we're respectful but also succeeding is challenging. Coming out of COVID, before COVID, 5 days a week was the norm.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it was just, that's the way you went to work. You went Monday through Friday, period. And you work late, you come in early, you work on weekends. Like, COVID really changed the scope of how people work. So I'm still, wrapping my head around, working from home. So for me, like when I was working, like working from home to me was like a play day. I'm like, what? I'd be in bed, sleeping, like
100%.
But it really is different, today.
Yeah.
There's Zoom meetings. People are committed when they are working not from the office. And I still have to learn to wrap my head around that. Obviously, the younger generation grew up like that.
Yeah.
So for me,
it is what it is. You got to work with it.
It is what it is. But we are 4 days in the office, and we are a product business. Every department is probably not as relevant, but I think it's really important to be in the office.
Particularly creative people, right? Like bouncing ideas off of each other.
Right. And then also just someone from like e-com walking by the rack and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. That's my first understanding of like, is this product going to work?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
As you get bigger, here's another issue. How do you maintain authenticity? You talked a little bit about it. I think what you're really good at is putting yourself out there and your family even. If the business were to double in size, and I know it's going to, how do you maintain that authenticity?
So, we have grown so much in the past 15 years. I don't even count the first couple years. So I'd say like 10 years since we moved to the Garment Center, which is like 2014. So I really believe we have some core values, like as a company and also as a brand. It's easy to get caught up in, what will sell and what the majors want. They're a big chunk of it, and we want to have high sell-throughs. So I want to give everybody what they want.
Yeah.
And that's, my challenge is always keeping my brand authentic to who we want to be for that woman. And as I've also gotten older myself, I realize, you could still have the brand DNA, but have sleeves or be bra friendly or things in the beginning that I never designed.
Yeah.
So, I had a lot of sleeveless and a lot of mini and a lot of like not bra friendly. That doesn't always work. So I have to have a range of things that work because there's plenty of ways to dress that's, appropriate, but still like that feel for yourself that you feel great and confident and sexy.
So we're sitting here approaching the end of the summer in 2026. What new initiatives or categories or partnerships or retail plans are you excited about? I always think like any company, you can only do like 2 or 3 things really well. And in a given year, you only have so much time.
Right.
Like, what are you fired up about, going into like the end of 26 and into 27 and 28?
Well, we recently launched jewelry, which is like a real passion of mine. And it always has been. Even my tops that I first designed, it was all about like, okay, how could I show off my jewelry? Like, how could I like show a necklace or earrings? Because to me, the top was almost like canvas, like a piece of art, and then let me decorate it with my jewelry. So I'm really excited about our jewelry. And it really is the cherry on top and the icing on the cake. And it really adds to everything that we're doing. So that basically started as just on our website and in our stores. And now some of the boutiques are carrying it, the majors will carry it. And I really think that could be like an incredible part of the growth of Ramy Brook. So that brings us excitement. And also we're looking at opening up more brick and mortar stores. My competitors, if you even call them competitors, they have way more brick and mortar stores than I do. And obviously it's working. They keep on opening. So I have to understand and make that work for Ramy Brook. And also international, there's a tremendous amount of growth that this brand could have internationally.
Yeah.
I mean, also in the US, I just feel like, we haven't even barely reached our potential. So I'm just excited to build my brand and get the name out there so people say it correctly. Like,
I know, right.
I know.
You almost need the line over the A, right?
Yeah. And I almost need like a cute little jingle so people know it's like Amy with an R, Ramy. And I'll correct people all the time. They'll be like, Ramy. I'm like, why? And then I'll correct somebody once and then I'm done. And usually it just doesn't click. But somehow one of my goals is to have everybody saying it properly.
Understand it. Is that what keeps you coming into work every day? Like that, A, this is your baby. B, there's so much white space, it's insane. And there's like so much potential. And in your mind, all you want to do is reach the potential.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know.
Right?
I mean, I really, like, and it's not happening fast enough for me.
Of course.
So I feel like I started like when Uber started.
Yeah.
And I think they started like maybe a year before me. And, they became this like $1 billion company. I'm like, I'm going to be like Uber. Like they started when I started. Like,
I know.
What's going on?
You know what though? It's about the journey, like when you really stop and think, it's like, holy cow, like all the people you've met, everything you've done, it's like completely insane. If it all ended tomorrow, you'd be like, this was like the sickest ride ever. But
yeah,
there's so much potential ahead.
There's so much. I mean, and I still go back to like doing trunk shows where I really like to hear what the customer has to say.
Yeah.
And I also love like doing that for like a charitable aspect. It's nice to have this company and build it and, control it. So we're like privately held.
Yeah.
So, we don't have to really answer to too many people. So.
That was Ramy Brook Sharp, founder, co-CEO, and creative director of Ramy Brook, one of the fastest growing and important contemporary women's fashion brands in the world today. They offer great designs that make women feel beautiful, confident, and sexy. And in my mind, the foundation of their success is their authenticity and the connection that they continue to forge with women of all ages every day. I'm Tom Moran. We'll see you next time, back in the arena.
References to specific stocks are not intended to be recommendations for specific trading behavior. Comments presented on this podcast are intended for informational and educational purposes only, and do not represent opinions or recommendations on whether to buy, sell, or hold shares of a particular stock. All investors are advised to conduct their own independent research into individual stocks before making a trading decision. In addition, investors are advised that past stock performance is no guarantee of future price performance.